Hello, everyone. This is your host, Susan Rosen, and my guest today has a lot of incredible information for us, and I'm so excited to have him here. His name is Frank Davis, and he is going to introduce himself because he does it a lot better than I do. So welcome, Frank. Very happy to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to be on your podcast. I'm from an introduction standpoint, I'm a passionate fanatic about health and wellness, primarily because what I experienced in my earlier years, having gone through multiple illnesses, everything from hepatitis twice, mononucleosis twice, pneumonia twice, chronic fatigue syndrome. And so all of that on somebody who's a type A personality that is very much loves athletics and participates in sports. And so I became obsessed about finding a solution, especially when I got the chronic fatigue syndrome. And so that put me on this path of health and wellness. And I can honestly say I'm healthier at turning 77 now than I was at 47, primarily because of what I've discovered and what I've done to my own body. And I figured that if I can do this to me, who has one of the most compromised immune systems that I knew at the time, then I need to share it, and I need to provide this same, hopefully, benefit to others that I've experienced.
No, that's great. So you were telling me a little bit about your story and how you've ended up where you are now, which I found fascinating, and would really appreciate it if you could go through particularly what led you and how you ended up with the product that you're actually selling and helping people with.
So as I mentioned, I struggled with all these different diseases as a child, the mumps and measles, everything. And in retrospect, I realized I was raised on antibiotics, which I'm convinced did affect my immune system. So as I mentioned earlier, I facetiously said that when somebody drove by in a car with their window down and had a cold, I caught it. I was just seemed to be everything that came by, I got. And I was so frustrated. And so this process of continually fighting different illnesses, from hepatitis, mononucleosis, pneumonia, colds, flus, other different illnesses, all the allergies. I had food allergies. I had allergies again, cats, dogs, you name it. I had fall and summer allergies. And so, life was not real pleasant all the time, even though I'm basically a happy person and had a zest for life and loved sports. It just impacted what I could do and what I enjoy doing. So when I got this chronic fatigue syndrome in my early 40s, it was debilitating. It basically put me into bed rest. I had no energy, no strength to do anything. And so I became really focused on trying to find a solution. And I live in an area where it's what I call the network marketing capital of the world. Everybody had an answer. I was willing to try anything. I guzzled stuff that looked terrible, tasted terrible. I would go to doctors, and I got no solution out of that. So while I was in this real pursuit of answers, I was referred by, a professor at the local university to a symposium that was being put on in here in a neighboring city. And I went there. And this symposium was put on by a number of universities across the country, and it was entitled Foods as a Medicine. And so I went there, had no idea what to expect, but they introduced it to say there'd been more research done in the last 5 years than the prior 200 years, linking every known illness, every known disease to some form of dietary deficiency. And, as each presenter presented their findings, their research, their studies about different foods, the nutrients in the foods, the phytonutrients, the vitamins and minerals, what they do, how they prevent or cure disease, it really resonated with me. And I just thought, this has got to be the answer. And yet I was also aware, having been born and raised on a farm, that the food industry isn't what it used to be. The industrialized farming doesn't, the abusive use of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, the lack of mulching, rotating crops, etc. So I asked one of these presenters, I said, isn't there a wide variance in nutrient value in foods depending on where it's grown, how long it's been in transport, whether you cook it or not, whether it's been irradiated, whatever they do to try and kill, microbes, etc. She said, absolutely. I said, so how do you know you're getting all these nutrients you said are so critical in terms of preventing or curing disease? And anyway, I went up to her afterward because she basically said, I'm a firm believer in whole food nutrition, which I just said, but wouldn't it make sense if you could to get all those foods, reduce it down to a concentrated form, test it and know that you're getting all these nutrients, just eliminate the water, so because I was thinking to myself, I said, there's no way I can go buy all this stuff. I can discipline myself to eat it and then wonder, was there any nutrients in that?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And was your body able to take any of it in? Right.
Yeah. So that was really my journey from childhood up to a point where I did that. And in that process, I ended up getting finding a registered dietitian with her master's degree in clinical nutrition that had developed what is the forerunner of what I currently have, but it was a whole food nutritional supplement that I started on. And literally within less than a month, I was out of that chronic fatigue. And for the following 15 years, because I hired her and we ended up improving and developing on that, I never got sick. This had never happened in my life. I had never gone a year without a cold, multiple colds, catching the flu, doing other things. And all of a sudden I was living, I'm older, I was in my 40s, 50s, 60s, and not having anything. And I thought, so that was really, the long story short of where I started from, where I got to, and got passionate about nutrition, wellness, and believing 100%, you give your body the right nutrients, it will work miracles. And realizing that most people have no idea how hard it is today to give their body the right nutrients because it's not in the foods. It's just, because of the length of time from harvest to market, because of the use of the pesticides, the herbicides that on there that inhibit the uptake of minerals from the soil, and then most people turn to some form of supplementation, but that's another story. Most supplements are the pharmaceutical industry. They're created in a laboratory. They're chemical isolates, synthetically made. And, my bias, and I can document it, that it does more damage than good. Vitamins in nature, in foods, are a compound. They're a complex. They're not a single chemical isolate. And they work synergistically together to provide the benefit for the body. And so all of those things are really, now my passion and my passion to share it.
Oh no, absolutely. So I know you and I were talking a little bit earlier about what the product is that you've put together to address all of these issues and I don't know, problems in the whole food chain
Right.
that's
Well,
in existence.
what I did, I hired this registered dietitian with her master's degree in clinical nutrition who had developed
Hmm.
a whole food supplement for another
Okay.
company that I
Oh.
took and that got me out. And when I said, "Can this product be improved upon?" She said, "Absolutely." I said, "Okay, throw away the checkbook. This is not about margin. This is about my health, your health. I'm not, and so that's how we started.
Mm.
And the more I dove into the quote supplement industry, the more smoke and mirrors I found, and I realized that
Wow.
99.99% of it is all driven by margin and story. It is not by necessarily efficacy and
Uh-huh.
whatever. And so that's why we
Yeah.
ended up having to do it ourselves because it didn't
Okay.
exist.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I ended up finding a technology that could reduce any fruit, any vegetable, any food down to a powder form with zero loss of any nutrients, color, or flavor. It was not depending
Hmm.
on heat. It wasn't depending on chemicals.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
was an
Hmm.
infrared drying process just off of
Oh,
visible
wow.
light.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't believe it at first. It sounded a little too good to be true, but I went up. It was developed by two Washington State PhDs.
Uh-huh.
And I spent a day with them and realized that they really had what I considered the Holy Grail. And I put the money in to
Wow.
commercialize it. And
Uh-huh.
so that became the foundation of the product where I could take, and then we would literally go out and contract with organic farmers to produce it. So we knew where it was grown, how, and then we
Control.
processed it so that it
Hmm.
wasn't a guessing game. Is there any nutrients in this soil that's being transferred to the plants or
Right.
whatever? And
Yeah.
so we developed a product that is called Complete Essentials. It's this product right here,
Uh-huh.
and I have it in a fairly large stick pack form. There's and there's literally 100 different ingredients in there that
Wow.
has all the vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants, all from whole foods. There's nothing artificial, nothing created in a
Wow.
laboratory.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so it becomes my insurance policy that I'm giving my body all the essential nutrients it needs to function the way it was designed to function. That's why I am, more energetic and can do things at my
Mm.
age at 76, 77
Uh-huh.
than even I could do in my 40s, where
Wow.
I participate in the World Senior Games, play basketball, play racquetball, bike,
Wow.
you name it. I've done that now for the last
Uh-huh.
25 years. But but it's I think most of us are operating on four cylinders because we're putting four-cylinder fuel in our body and have no idea we were created with eight because we're so used to how we feel, how we function. But when
Right.
you put the right fuel in your body and the right nutrients and you nourish yourself on a cellular level, you'll be
Yeah.
amazed at what it'll do for you. Um, you know, I've been accused by many that I just was born with a great genetic pool. And I said, you wouldn't want my gene pool. My father, my mother were both dead before my age, one of heart disease, the other of cancer,
Wow.
lung
Oh,
cancer.
wow. Yeah.
My brother
Mm.
has cancer. My sister died of cancer. My brother is bald. My sister, I mean, my grandfather on both sides are bald. My brother's bald. I have a full head of hair. My mother had genetic eye problems that's passed on to my siblings, and I have 20/20 vision. I have a full head of hair.
Wow.
I'm telling you, you can reverse the aging process. You can reverse your genetic predisposition
Wow.
for certain things.
Uh-huh.
You can
Yeah.
reverse your DNA when you give your
Wow.
body the right nutrients.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think the important thing as well is that you've got it in a way that people can take it and use it,
That's it.
right?
Yeah.
Because until you get healthier, you can't even if you're eating the right things, you can't always use it in your body until your body gets better. It's a catch-22 kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the challenge, and that's why I say I have taken this product in every single day for the last 30 years, and it's the healthiest I've been in the last 30 years. I mean, and I can't attribute it to anything else because I know what my prior 40 plus years was.
Right, exactly.
And including in allergies, because I used to suffer from hay fever, allergies to grasses and trees, etc. I mean, just miserable fall and summer. Now, in spring. Now, I really don't. I mean, I can tell when there's a high pollen count because my eyes will get a little itchy, but I don't have any of the responses I used to have. I don't, and part of that is, the digestive enzymes and the probiotics in there, they help your body deal with those things, so you're not, struggling with these different type of allergies that you're exposed to in the environment or in the foods.
Yeah. So is it a powder? Is it a bar?
It's a powder. It's
because from the shape, it could be.
Yeah, it's just either. It's a stick pack that has 11 grams of powder in it. There's over 100 different ingredients in there, but they've been processed in such a way in a water extraction to get into extract form where I can literally have all those nutrients in that powder form. And on the label, be able to say you're getting 100% RDA of all these vitamins from foods. You're getting, the all of the different antioxidants, probiotics, digestive enzymes, essential fatty acids, all of it plant-based. So you just and the proof's in the pudding.
Put it into juice or water, or what do you? Because you can't just take it directly.
I personally put this in. I also have produced a plant-based protein that I put it in with, but I put it in a protein. I mix it with half a banana and some organic berries, just in water in the morning, a smoothie, and it tastes great. It tastes great. It's very filling when you're nourishing your body on a cellular level. You get satiety. You're not hungry all the time. It's when we eat empty calories, our body keeps saying, "Nice try. I got nothing out of it. Keep it coming." So we keep feeding it all these empty calories, and then we just
gotta remember that anti-calories. That's good. I like that.
So. But anyway, but it tastes great if you on the go. If you just had a 16-ounce water bottle and took it in, shook it up, and drink it, it tastes great too that way. It doesn't look as great. I mean, it's definitely a dark green because of all of the grasses and greens that are in there, but it tastes great.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that by doing that, you don't need to buy all these other supplements that we all buy with all the different vitamins and.
Well, that's another side of the story, Susan, is that I'm a vegetarian, I'm a vegan, but I avoid synthetic vitamins more than I avoid meat because I believe they are drugs that are produced in a laboratory. So I would just challenge any of your listeners to look at what supplements they're taking. And I'm going to give you a few examples just to, when I tell you that vitamins in nature are a compound, a complex. For example, vitamin C if you look on any label, on any food that it's added to, or on the vitamin supplement you're taking, almost without exception, it will say in parentheses where it comes from. It'll say ascorbic acid or some form of ascorbate. Well, what is that? Well, it is genetically modified corn processed with hydrochloric acid and cooked, and it all comes from China today. That is what we have as our vitamin C. In nature, vitamin C comprises of bioflavonoids, rutin, J factor, K factor, vitamin P. Ascorbic acid is just the outer protective shell of that complex, just like an eggshell is to an egg. And so, but the workhorses are inside that egg. That the nutrients are, so that's the problem. But I'm gonna give you a couple of others. Look at in almost any vitamin and any fortified food. I don't care whether it's cold cereals, whether it's bread, whether it's juices, whether it's vitamin water, whether it's the vitamin you're taking. Look at vitamin B6 and see if parentheses around there, it almost without exception will say pyridoxine hydrochloride. What plant is that? Well, actually, pyridoxine hydrochloride is actually petroleum esters blended with hydrochloric acid and processed with formaldehyde.
Oh, God.
Then let's go down. They
couldn't make it any worse if they tried, could they?
Well, they did, because then they made B12. Now, B12 will put in parentheses, look at that one. I'm just challenging anybody listening to this to look at the vitamins they're taking and see if it doesn't say B12. Does it say cyanocobalamin or methylcobalamin?
I believe that this is the methyl, because I can't take the other one. I'm allergic to it. Where does it say?
Well, I would just say most of it you will ever see will say cyanocobalamin.
Right.
Well, again, what is that? Well, the cyano is cyanide. So
that's good. That's helpful. I know it's not that. Yeah.
You tell me, somebody who's been into the food business for a long time, how does a dead, carcinogenic, toxic chemical benefit a live organism like the body? I can't wrap my head around it. No. Vitamins in nature are live. They are foods. They are a complex. They work synergistically together. So how do you take a fraction of it, synthetically produce it in a laboratory, and think that it's going to do the good? It's the same thing as saying, listen, I only need the center on the football team. I don't need anybody else. I
only need the quarterback, right? And that's it.
You're not going to
get the ball to him, but no.
Yeah, you're not going to win any games. In fact, you're going to get creamed. And that's the way I look at it with this, because every one of them, I mean, I could go down every vitamin, like vitamin E.
I bet.
You look on your label right there and tell me if it says D-alpha tocopherol or DL-alpha tocopherol. Usually that's what you will see.
I don't think I take vitamin E anymore. I couldn't tell you. So, yeah.
But I'm just saying, people are looking at their multivitamin. I know that is on there.
Yes.
Yeah. On a multivitamin, that's what it'll say. But in nature, there are 8 tocopherols and tococrinols. How do you take 1/8 of it and say that is as good as the whole thing? Well, in reality, university tests are showing that the D-alpha tocopherol actually inhibits the free scavenging ability of the gamma tocopherol. So it's doing the opposite of what you're intending it to do.
Yeah. No, exactly. And why am I not surprised?
Yeah. It's the pharmaceutical industry. It's about money. You can't patent an apple, so we got to take something and chemically produce it and make money off of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm not sure who's worse, the pharmaceutical industry or the supplement industry.
Well, they're one and the same.
You know. Are they? Okay.
That's why I'm saying the supplement industry
Yeah.
you're looking at is basically all produced in the pharmaceutical lab, all the synthetic chemicals.
Ah, okay.
You know,
Okay.
so what I was showing you,
Right.
whether it's sprayed on a cereal, whether it's put in a capsule, whether it's put in liquid, they're
Hmm.
just different forms, but they're produced in the same laboratories. And
Okay.
they are
Okay.
chemical isolates that do not do the body good in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's probably similar to the food, right? You can eat it or you can put it in and then you pee it out or shit it out or whatever it happens to be, and none of it gets into your system.
That's true. Well, you know, actually, if you were taking B vitamins in a synthetic form,
Hmm.
you will notice that your urine will usually turn bright yellow, and it is your
Oh.
body's first attempt to get rid of it. And some people think that that's a good thing to see that in there. It is not.
Uh-huh.
Because if you take
Yeah.
it in a food form, in a whole food form, your body recognizes it a whole food, knows how to use it and benefit.
Mm.
And if it doesn't use it all, it knows how to store it. It doesn't try and get rid of it.
Uh-huh. So that brings up another question for those of us that have been taking these supplemental vitamins and stuff for decades. Um, is it like other things where your body gets so used to not being able to use it that it stops knowing how to, even if something comes in that it could use?
No, no.
Okay.
If you
Just
take
curious. I mean,
if you take the vitamins in a whole food form, your body
right.
recognizes it as a whole food, knows how to use it, knows how
Uh-huh.
to absorb it and benefit. It's when you take, for example, if you were taking vitamin C in the form of ascorbic acid,
Hmm.
vitamin C is one of the things your body cannot produce. It has to ingest it. And
Hmm.
so,
Okay.
you know, that's why back in, I mean, we know from basically the Dark Ages that vitamin C deficiency creates, you know, you can have scurvy. That's why
Right.
the sailors, they used to call them
Oranges
limeys
and
because they would do that,
yeah.
you know,
Right. Yeah.
or sauerkraut or whatever they would take to prevent that.
Ah.
But in the if you're taking vitamin C, like I say, in the form of ascorbic acid, it actually creates genotoxins that mutate the DNA. It contributes to arteriosclerosis.
Oh.
So it's not, but what happens is your body recognizes it's incomplete, and it robbed from the collagen
Ah.
tissue to try and give your body the benefit
Oh
of
wow. Okay.
the whole food vitamin C. But you can
Huh.
only do that so long without you know, suffering the consequences. It's like
Hmm.
a lot of drugs you take, there can be a
Hmm.
short-term benefit, but there are
Hmm.
side effects. There are
Hmm.
long-term problems that are created.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Huh. So are you are you creating more than just the one product, or do you have other products as well that kind of hang off of that one, you know,
No,
that
I
like
do.
that's the
Yeah,
main
I do. I
form and
have
then
this as kind of
uh-huh.
the foundation product that I just say
Uh-huh.
is kind
Yeah,
of the
right.
is what I would
Do
say
this first.
everybody needs every day. But you know,
Yeah.
depending on if you're dealing with different type of conditions or whatever, you might
Uh-huh.
need extra of something. I created
Uh-huh.
vitamin D product. Vitamin D is kind of
Oh.
the it's the new vitamin C, so to speak. It's linked to
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
but my vitamin D is just organic mushroom. Period. Mushroom
Oh. Huh.
absorbs the synthesizes sun into vitamin
Uh-huh.
D just like the human body does. And so
Wow, I had no idea.
it's a whole food form. All the other
Hmm.
forms, the D3, most of
Yeah,
it is synthesized from lamb's wool. I'm just a total
yeah,
firm believer in whole food vitamin C. I mean, in vitamin
yeah.
D. In vitamin C, for example, I have extra vitamin C, and all it is organic acerola cherry. Acerola cherry has 1,000 times more vitamin C per gram than an orange. And
Mhm.
so 25% of that uh, organic acerola cherry is whole food vitamin C. And
Wow.
uh, they did a study at Cornell University years ago where they tried to determine how much vitamin C was in an apple, and they equated it. They equated it to how many milligrams of ascorbic acid it would equate to, and they equated it to 5 milligrams of vitamin C in the form of ascorbic acid is in that apple. But when they actually did the test on the apple after it was consumed to
Mm,
determine the antioxidant effect, they
mm.
found that it was the equivalent of 1,500 milligrams of vitamin
Wow.
C. So basically, what it was saying is in the whole food form, and then they had no idea what is in that apple that makes it if they're trying to equate it to 5 milligrams of ascorbic acid versus a
Uh-huh.
whole food vitamin C, then what is it in that apple that gives you um, that expansive result in terms of its effect?
Mm.
And that's why I'm saying in a whole food form, you don't need anywhere near as much as as they recommend in a
Right.
synthetic form, because everything on the RDA is all based on synthetic. Um,
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah,
so when you get
yeah,
it in a
yeah.
whole food form, you get a much more benefit. It's like they did
Hmm.
with, if you're familiar with lycopene, they
Oh,
is
yeah.
in a tomato.
Right.
Well, they found that lycopene was a potent antioxidant, again, especially for men that were suffering with prostate health. So
Right.
what do the chemists do? They try to isolate that lycopene and sell it as a individual product. What they
Yeah.
found out is taking it outside the tomato by itself, it doesn't work. And they don't know what's in the tomato that makes it work, but they know that it's
I
the
love it
workhorse.
that it does. Yeah, right. All I know is that it does work.
Yeah. So the whole point
Interesting.
is the
Yeah.
vitamins that we take, the nutrients we take, have to be in a whole food form the way God created them, because we don't know and science doesn't know what all is in that food that makes that vitamin function the way it was designed to function. You can't chemically reproduce it, isolate it, and expect the same
Hmm.
result.
Wow. Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense. The logic to it
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
I do
Yeah.
have different products, the vitamin A,
Okay.
the vitamin C, the vitamin D.
Hmm.
I do have some other things like collagen, protein powder.
Mm.
I developed all these things because everything I developed was for me, and I
Yeah.
basically share it.
Yeah. 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 No, it sounds like me and my podcast.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, at my age, I mean, I still have, nice muscle
Whoa.
tone. And so
I'm impressed.
I have people ask me, I weigh the same I did in high school. And they
Uh-huh.
say, well, you're vegan. Where do you get your protein from? And I said, well, from the same place an elephant, a rhinoceros, a gorilla, a hippopotamus get it from plants. You don't see them very anemic, do you? It's so that's and
So
so
are you yeah, I was going to say so are you also suggesting that people become vegetarian or
I'm not
lacto-ovo vegetarian, or
I'm not
is
necessarily.
it not that big of a deal?
Well, to me, it is. I mean, I do believe that, especially in the United States, we overconsume animal protein, and
No, that's
animal
true.
protein, uh, no matter what positive side of it is, there are negative sides. You don't have with plant-based protein. And if we ate meat in real moderation, no more, from my perspective, no more than 10% of your caloric intake in clean meat, such as organic, grass-fed,
Right.
then I think you're fine. But I happen to believe that meat is one of the biggest problems we have as far as
The
contributing
rest of
to
our
our health.
environment.
Yeah,
Well, and the whole rest of our environment, right?
right.
Especially the
But
cows.
with a lot of issues, everything from high cholesterol to other things that we're dealing with. And there's studies that show it actually is a substrate that feeds cancer. So,
Interesting.
there was an experiment done in India and then replicated by a professor emeritus at Cornell University, where they injected rats with equal amounts of aflatoxin, one of the most carcinogenic substances known to man, and they put one of the groups of rats on a diet that consisted of 20% animal protein, and the other group on 5% animal protein. It was casein from milk. In 100 days, the group that had the rats that were fed 20% animal protein, every one of them had developed cancer, and every one of them were dead. Of the 5%, none of them had developed cancer. And the researchers could literally turn cancer on and off like a light switch, whether by introducing or taking away the animal protein. So, that's just, I don't mean to get on to that, but that's part of my bias, is that under 10%, you're pretty safe. But I just happen to say I'm going to go the whole way. I think there's more benefit to plant-based, whole food plant-based diet than carnivorous diet. So
no, and I can appreciate that. We my husband and I actually don't eat anywhere near as much meat as we used to. We do eat cheese, which is kind of iffy as well, because it's got a lot of the same proteins and stuff, and I can't do anything from a cow anyways. I'm allergic to it, so I just I do goat cheese.
Well, I was raised on a farm, and believe me, I ate meat 3 times a day, and I had, but I also think that contributed to some of the health issues that I was dealing with. Because there have been studies on athletes that they take them comparatively from a meat-based diet versus a whole food plant-based, and the plant-based outperform the meat-based athletes. So there's more to it than just there's a lot of potential benefits from my perspective.
Well, I think, just as a comment, I think that at least in our society, and probably in a lot of places in the world, that most of us were not raised to know how to get enough protein from the non-meat based foods.
That's probably true.
Learning. That's
an
education that needs to be done.
But I also think we were raised with the idea we need more protein than we do.
Absolutely. Totally
and
agree.
There is ample sources of protein, whether it be kale or some of the leafy vegetables, nuts,
Uh-huh.
um,
Oh yeah,
beans, legumes, you name it.
don't like those.
They, yeah, they have, there's lots of forms of protein,
Oh yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
peas,
But
rice, yeah.
yeah, but it's so funny because people will eat all those things and you ask them, well, why don't you stop eating meat? Oh no, I need protein. It's like, yeah, but you're already getting protein over here, right?
Uh,
I'm even now, I think people don't make that connection.
that's the way we have been indoctrinated in this
Yes.
in this Western
No, you're
world.
right. Yes,
And
totally.
there were studies that they were even recommended as high as 35% of your caloric intake in animal protein, and where I think in reality, you don't need it, but you get all the protein you need out of plants, and that's
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
that's the
Well,
where
tofu
where
and
do-
stuff
where
as well, right? All the
yeah,
soy
yeah.
products.
I'd rather take it first round of the protein rather than being recycled through animals.
Yes, yes, I'll agree with that. I will agree with that. So that sounds like a good place to wrap up here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think we could probably talk for another hour, which we can do sometime if you're
Okay.
interested. Um,
Always happy
so
to share what I think and
yeah,
believe.
so let us know, and I will also put it in the show notes, um, where people can find you, can find your products, websites, or
Now, the website is www.optivida, OPTIVIDA
okay,
health.com.
okay.
And I do have a toll-free number somewhere. Well, yeah, it's 888
Uh-huh.
507 888 507 4332.
Okay.
888-507-4332 or
Got it.
optivitahealth.com.
Okay. So it's OPTIVEDA health.com.
Right. OP,
Correct? Okay.
yeah.
OPTI.
OPTI
Yes.
OptiVida, VIDA health.com.
Oh, VIDA. Okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
an E. Got it. Okay. Great.
VIDA.
I will. Okay. I'll put it in the show notes,
Okay.
and everybody else can write it down from listening to it.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
And
So
well,
with that, let me just say that, as I usually do, neither of us are doctors. This is not to be taken as medical advice. And other than that, thank you very much,
you're
Frank, for
more
coming
than, yeah,
on.
more
More
welcome.
great information. Just fabulous. So thank you. And I'm going to say I will see everybody else next week.